Hello, Truth Matters CD here. I'm talking to you today about secularism and progressives. There are a number of thinkers, as I've mentioned before, Sam Harris among them, philosophers, writers, thinkers, who advocate that all religions must go the way of alchemy. This must happen as religion and faith impedes progress. All religions must go the way of alchemy, Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins contend. Not only so, but this is an active goal towards which they seek and strive. The assumption is that reason, unaided reason, can lead us to the good and to truth. That's a questionable assumption. Who was it who said, in every day, in every way, the world is getting better? Well, I wonder who said that and when that was. In his volumes, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, Emmanuel Gibbons talked about how Christianity and the church, whenever he mentions it, it's with sardony and disdain. He calls it the superstition. Whenever the superstition appeared, you could hear the disdain in his voice. But before Gibbon, Calvin and Luther, the reformers, John Calvin and Martin Luther, they said that reason is the servant of sin. Our reason, Calvin warned, can lead us astray. We can take some decidedly wrong roads in the name of reason. G.K. Chesterton, great English writer, said over 100 years ago that we must not say of the church that which is most often said, that the church will lead us into the dark ages, when Chesterton says, it is only the church that led us out of them. I love this statement too that Chesterton makes, that progressivism, the progressives of his day and ours, I would say, progressivism, he says, trusts itself utterly in the unknown future. It trusts itself utterly in the anarchy of the unknown future. The unknown future yawns out before us these days as we think of the National Security Agency and this vast program of immense data. I can't even begin to comprehend all of the data that's being collected. A judge has said this program is unconstitutional, spying on our neighbors, and yet champions and proponents of the program, some of our top military leaders say the purpose is not to spy out our neighbor and to gather gossip and bits of information about our neighbor. Our job and duty is to stay one step or so ahead of the very people who want to kill us. In technology, which is the culmination of reason, reason culminates in technology. The latest advances we have, the very best argument for reason and progress is technology. And yet we are just one or two steps ahead of the bad guys. What am I talking about? I'm talking about people who put out viruses, worms, and we have to stay one or two steps ahead of the criminals and the evildoers who would seek to put them out and cause mass harm using technology as a tool. We're just one or two steps ahead of the bad guys. And yet it is good and evil, bad and good. These are the very notions which we seek to avoid. We don't want to come across as judgmental and offensive in talking about good and evil. And it could very well be that our lives depend upon some understanding of good and evil and sorting things out. Since 911, we know two things beyond the shadow of all doubt if we didn't know it before. We know for a certainty that there are those people who see it as their religious duty to kill us. We know that they see it as their religious duty to acquire nuclear weapons. Now, there are those who say that if we're just reasonable people, then other people will be reasonable. I tend to agree with Luther and Calvin and John Wesley that reason is the servant of sin. The NSA program, my cell phone I'm using right now, God love my cell phone, my iPhone, I don't know what I'd do without it. It's recording this video right now. Hopefully I could be the servant of a good cause. Hopefully I can be a servant of the good and not the evil. But can we really assume that if we're reasonable people, then other people will be reasonable as well? That's a questionable assumption at best. Mother Teresa said that she was just a pencil in the hand of God. I know that I want to be used by the good and not the evil. Don't you? Truth matters.